The obvious prediction to be made because of Brock Lesnar's reputation in the UFC and mixed martial arts is that Lesnar would win the match. And I'm not going to go as far as to say Lesnar will win the match because that's just merely drawing a conclusion. But there will be something, there will be a significant fallout from this match. We're just waiting for it to happen. And there's a lot of hype for Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar. And just to let you guys know, I will be writing a column with my opinion on Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar, even though this match has not been confirmed. You pretty much can decipher it from the tweets that have been dropped by Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar himself, Randy Orton, and everything that's been teased for Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar or Goldberg versus Lesnar 2. The last time we saw them wrestle was over 12 years ago. Just finished writing up about that for my column in this corner with Jonathan Clarke. So there's a lot to talk about when you're talking about the fallout from SummerSlam 2016. Not the best SummerSlam that we have seen in years. No Undertaker, no major name in a major main event this year, only Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. That's the best SummerSlam gave us. Not the best SummerSlam that I have seen in the last number of years. The Women's Championship match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. I was either going to give AJ Styles versus John Cena match of the night or Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. This was another match that really pissed me off with the conclusion of it. Sasha Banks was merely women's champion for merely 3 weeks, loses the title the way she did after Charlotte used her weight advantage to her advantage to capitalize, getting the 3 count and becoming a 2-time women's champion. The only good thing to come out of this match, besides the incredible effort Sasha Banks gave us to try to retain her title in her first ever pay-per-view title defense in the first ever pay-per-view match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks, who you knew had a decisive advantage because she was 11-0 on pay-per-view, had never lost in a pay-per-view in her life going into the match, and her chances of going 12-0 on pay-per-view were better than Sasha Banks handing her first loss on pay-per-view and retaining the title. The only thing good to come out of this was Bayley eventually debuted on Raw less than 24 hours in the Barclays Center. She comes out, challenges Charlotte for the championship. Charlotte does not accept the challenge, and we see Dana Brooke versus Sasha Banks in what was an incredible match for Bayley to make her, or Dana Brooke versus Bayley rather, which was an incredible match for Bayley to make her debut in a WWE ring for the first time ever. And off that victory over Dana Brooke, there is a lot of promise that goes with Bayley's debut in WWE, and obviously we will see a match between Charlotte and Bayley. I predict this will happen at the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. Bayley was always one of my favorites in the women's divisions for either Raw or SmackDown. She was my favorite, one of my favorites from the NXT women's division, and she was just fantastic as part of the Four Horsemen, or the Four Horsewomen in NXT. She was just amazing. She was just an all-around gifted athlete, a gifted performer, and you knew she was destined for a call-up with WWE. So off the returns and the debuts, Bayley, the returns of Nikki Bella and Big E, definitely. Bayley's debut and the return of Nikki Bella, definitely some of the highlights to come out of this year's SummerSlam. But all in all, on a 5-star scale perspective, because of everything that happened and how many of the things that happened at SummerSlam didn't happen in our favor, and a lot of things happened at SummerSlam that we didn't expect to happen. You don't really have to go as far as to rate this pay-per-view 5 out of 5 stars on a 5-star scale perspective rating. I'll rate this year's SummerSlam 3 out of 5. I won't go down as far as 2 out of 5 stars because SummerSlam did have a lot of good matches. One of the best matches of the night was AJ Styles and John Cena. That's my choice for match of the night, and it might not necessarily be your choice for match of the night. If you had to choose between, say, Sasha Banks and Charlotte or AJ Styles and John Cena, which one of the two, or would there be another match that you would designate as your choice for match of the night? You can get in on the conversation in the comments of my video blog on my YouTube channel. Just one of many ways you can get in on the conversation about the fallout of SummerSlam. I've been meaning to do this video for a while, just getting around to doing it today. So I'm just giving you some brief thoughts on this year's SummerSlam. The show kicked off with the tag team match, Enzo and Kaz against Jericho. From there, we go from that to the Women's Championship match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Just the second match of the night, the first championship match of the night. It was a pretty incredible match that we saw, but, I could have, had it preferably gone another way for Sasha Banks to retain the title despite the back injury that she had. Hopefully she won't be out on the DL for a significant amount of time, and she will be back sooner than what Finn Balor or other names who may have ended up on the DL that I'm probably unaware of from SummerSlam this year. Was not really happy with the conclusion of that match because preferably heading into the match, I was hoping that Sasha Banks was going to retain, and we would have seen Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax starting the feud in a program less than 24 hours after SummerSlam, because my prediction for Sasha Banks versus Charlotte in the first ever pay-per-view match was Sasha was going to win one over. on Charlotte, handing Charlotte her first pay-per-view loss. Going into it, she was 11-0 on pay-per-view. That was a decisive statistic that really stood out, but I was hoping Sasha was going to win one over. And we were going to see Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. Instead, we saw Bayley versus Dana Brooke in what was an impressive debut. So the only good thing to happen out of the fallout of Sasha Banks versus Charlotte was Bayley's debut, and possibly Bayley versus Charlotte in a championship match for the first time ever at the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. Give me your thoughts on the fallout of SummerSlam. I know Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton had to have pissed you off just as much as it pissed me off, and who can blame me for being frustrated on the fallout of matches like Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar. 15 years. We waited 15 fucking years to see Brock Lesnar get a TKO victory over Randy Orton. You have got to be joking. And of 2 championship matches, Dean Ambrose retains in an awful match with Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose, and the match between Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, a show stealer from my estimation. An incredible match. I was just really pissed off over how Finn Balor had to forfeit the title less than 24 hours after becoming champion because of his shoulder being knocked into place. He popped his shoulder back into place. How about a round of applause and a show of respect from every wrestling fan who ever said they were a fan of professional wrestling for Finn Balor? He popped his shoulder back into place, finished the match. A lot of people wouldn't have the courage to do that. The match would have just stopped in the way Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar was stopped by the doctors and the officials. But Finn Balor didn't want his championship match to be remembered as a match that had to be stopped because of injury. He popped it back into place. He even made appearances on Good Morning America with several other superstars. He went across the pond, but the pain got progressively worse, as reported by WWE.com, as a lot of situations from the fallout of SummerSlam were, like the Dudley Boys saying goodbye. Of course, Finn Balor had to undergo surgery. He did earlier this week. Apparently, it was reported later on that it was a successful surgery at that. So we're just waiting it out now for Finn Balor to return, and hopefully when he returns, he will capitalize on the opportunity to once again become Universal Champion and take on whoever the champion is, which we determined coming up in Texas this Monday. We're going to see a Fatal 4-Way match between Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Big Cass, and Kevin Owens. Who's going to win that match? The first pinfall or submission in this match will secure a new Universal Champion, the second in history of that championship. And I know that Stephanie and Mick Foley are looking forward to this match. The commissioner and GM of Monday Night Raw are really excited about it. I am really excited about Monday Night Raw coming up this Monday, and I will definitely break that down for you when it happens. Really pleased with the formats of both Raw and SmackDown in the fall of the draft, and for the first ever co-promoted pay-per-view by Raw and SmackDown, where both shows came together. It was a decent show, but it did leave out a lot left to be desired. It wasn't the best SummerSlam, like I mentioned here at the top of the show, that I've seen in 30 years, and I'm rating it 3 out of 5 stars. I won't go as low as 2 out of 5 because that would just be disrespect for the history of SummerSlam in 2017, celebrating the 30th anniversary of SummerSlam, and hopefully it'll be a better SummerSlam than what we saw this year. Even last year's SummerSlam in 2015 was ultimately a better SummerSlam than this year's, and I can think about so many SummerSlams throughout the years that have been better than this one. SummerSlam 2015, just last year, Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker with the chokeout victory by The Undertaker to Brock Lesnar. Then we had SummerSlam in 2005, Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels. SummerSlam 2002, Brock Lesnar's debut as champion less than 5 months within his arrival, undefeated, unbeaten by pinfall or submission. He becomes the WWE champion for the first time ever, goes on to hold it until Survivor Series. So many incredible moments. From SummerSlam 2004, Randy Orton becoming the youngest champion in history just 2 years after Brock Lesnar became the youngest champion in history. Randy Orton beats him out. So there have been far more significant SummerSlams than what we have seen. I guess we're just going to have to take it for what it was worth. I know it probably pissed you off as much, if not more, as it did myself, and I'm inviting you. That's why I'm inviting you to get in on the conversation. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke, and I will talk to you again next week. It has been a whole lot of fun.
HEW Entertainment Radio is a production of HEW Entertainment on their official website and broadcasts on social media. You can join the conversation on our Facebook page at HEW Entertainment, follow and listen to our show on Twitter at Jonathan Clarke 1, and watch us on our YouTube channel at Jonathan Clarke 22. Hosted and produced by Jonathan Clarke out of Canada. If you have any questions on our radio broadcast, you can email us at jonathanclarke2005 at hotmail.com. Thank you for listening.